This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talks. Sunday Stream of Consciousness, not the college football huddle. That's on Wednesday. The Sunday Stream of Consciousness, guys. Welcome to the show. We start our new hours today, 8:30 to 10:30. Don't know how it'll affect us. Hopefully not too much. We may not have some of our regulars in until a little bit later. Who knows? Maybe we'll have some new people in. But we will be on at least through the pro football season, if not continuing. We'll probably continue at this time going forward. Hope it doesn't disrupt too many people's mornings, and we can have you. We welcome you all in. It's a bit of a gloomy day here in the East Greenbush, New York, but it's going to be a little warm, and then it's going to get cold. Fall's upon us here. But we'll get some hot weather yet. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. Welcome everybody who's watching us on Facebook, who's watching us on Twitter and YouTube and all of those outlets. This show will air later today, 12 o'clock on Roku, and repeat maybe a couple times during the year, or during the week. Also, you can find it on the podcast channels later on as well. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. And one big quick plug, during the week this week, and I will post a time and a date later today probably, I'll be doing my NFL preview show, and Alan Perella is one of our very good contributors to the show with the comments and topics during the course of this show and others. He's going to join me to go through that. So I look forward to that. And, of course, we've got the college football huddle on Wednesday and Are You Serious on Friday, which we had to miss last week because I was actually got called away for a bit. But we're back and better than ever, as they will steal that tagline from another show. How about that? So today we're going to talk a lot of Major League Baseball. The Yankees collapse is in full mode. More injuries. Aaron Judge hits his 52nd, the only good thing. We'll get around the league. We'll look at the division races and the wild card races. We'll look at maybe how some of the trades have worked out, good or bad for some of these teams since August 2nd. And then some other news and notes around the league. We'll get into a little bit of college football. We won't cover it in depth as we do that on Wednesday night, but we'll talk about some of the top 25 scores, some of the games of interest outside of top 25, but not too far in depth. Then we got the NFL. We'll again, we won't go too in depth because we got the preview show coming up, but we'll talk a little bit about some things going around the league, some of the notable roster cuts, maybe week one matchups, and we'll talk whatever you guys want to talk about the NFL as well. And then we'll have Mark Mancini on at 10 a.m. today, so it gets earlier and earlier for him, which can't be good for us, I guess, but he wants to talk about the Dodgers' history in September, which is certainly not relevant to this year, although I do use the Yankees as a springboard there. Artie Moreno and the Angels. The Bills are going to kick the Rams' butt. Of course, we knew he'd say that. And I want to talk to him about the Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Fame, which, shockingly enough, this is a pretty storied franchise. And I'm surprised this is the first time they've had a Hall of Fame induction. Got a few comments up here already. Good morning, Kenny Gifford, up early, probably before breakfast, and I don't know about before anything else. And good morning, Rick. How about, listen, I have to tell you, the most surprising score of the weekend for me was the Georgia Bulldogs. Not the fact that they won, but the fact that they won 49-3. So congrats to your Bulldogs. This isn't Bethune-Cookman, which my team played yesterday. You've noticed the U has made its way to the top of the hat pile behind me. How's Florida? Rick seems to be having fun in Florida, and at least I know he was at one of my favorite stops in Delray Beach at Boston's during the week or over the weekend. Good morning, Alan. He's burnt red from being out at the Oklahoma UTEP game yesterday. Congrats on the victory there, Alan. He had a fun time. He messaged me last night. Kenny, I need to stop chasing kids. You would have thought you should be that. Who would have thought you'd be that guy? When was I? Oh, my wife posted a. I have no idea what I'm doing in this video on Facebook. If you're friends with me, go to my personal page because I'm wandering around the front porch just aimlessly, and I can't for the life of me remember. And the sad part is I commented on this post is I'm pretty sure that happens several times a day. Dylan Cease near no hitter, the last out. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Dylan Cease, probably a Cy Young candidate in the American League. I think it would be him, and I don't know. Justin Verlander probably will be in the top couple. I'm trying to think. There's somebody else. They're the top two guys in my mind. I could be forgetting about somebody right now. Rick says it's hot and sunny. He's getting ready for the beach. So good. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad the 8:30 start is not affecting you guys popping in. Rick, when you get home, post some pics of the cheerleaders. All right. All right. So you guys are in full gear here this morning. Good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you. Let's jump right into. We want to get started with some Major League Baseball. And college football will be and the NFL. The NFL, I don't have a lot to chat about other than, maybe we'll do some predictions, but I don't want to go too far because Alan and I will be recording our show today for the NFL preview, but it will air during the week. So when you watch it, remember, make comments because I will be happy to reply, but we will not be doing it live. Kenny, Notre Dame did play well yesterday. I have to tell you, Ohio State's definitely outmans Notre Dame. They have I don't want to say better quarterback, but they have a more experienced quarterback. And Notre Dame gave Ohio State everything they could give them yesterday, and more. They had a chance to win this game. Very happy to see Notre Dame. I'm sure Notre Dame fans are happy to see that as well. Listen, I don't root for or against Notre Dame as a rule, but college football is better when Notre Dame's good. So that's one of the reasons I guess I do maybe root for them a little bit. Just a couple quick notes on the yesterday's scores in Major League Baseball. Let's jump off to let's go around Major League Baseball a little bit. Some interesting scores yesterday and I'm not going to go through the whole scoreboard, but I want to get through some of the scores, and we'll go to the standings and the stories and get your guys' feedback on the races. We're in September now, guys. It is clutch time. It is time to win games, and the Yankees are winning. The Yankees lost their third in a row, second in a row to the Rays. Second in a row to the Rays. 9-0 Friday night. Ugly game. Yankees bats come alive for 1 run yesterday and 3 hits. Aaron Judge does get his 52nd home run, the only positive to come out of this yesterday. And the Rays are now only 4 games behind the Yankees. They were just 16 games behind 2 months ago, if that. And this collapse is in full stride right now. And I'm scared it's going to happen. And to me, it would be the greatest collapse in the history of baseball. I'll get to your comments here after I get through these scoreboards. And if Drew's here with us, I'd love to have him comment, because right now the biggest collapse in the history of baseball, there's 2 that come to mind. The 78 Red Sox, who the Yankees chased down after being down 14.5 in June. I'm not positive, but I think the Yankees were 14.5, by the way, for the Red Sox. The Yankees may have been 16 games ahead later than that. And then there's the Dodgers in 51, which culminated in the home run heard around the world, the Bobby Thompson home run. Anyway, Phillies lose to the Giants 5-4, kind of important in the wild card race. Just because I don't know if Alan's here with us. Alan is here, I think. Yes, I already commented on his going to Oklahoma. His Rangers do lose to the Red Sox. I'll throw that in there, even though it's not a game that really matters. The Blue Jays, who are also stalking the Yankees now, 4-1. They win over the Pirates, who did installed their first ever Hall of Fame class yesterday, which I think is kind of interesting. The Orioles are playing really good baseball, guys. It is possible. When I talk about this Yankees collapse, it isn't that they just lose the division. They're not in the same position the Mets are on, let's say, where if they lose the division to the Mets, they're going to make the wild card. Yankees may lose it all because of the play of the Orioles and some others, as we'll see when we get to the wild card standings. Nationals beat the Mets 7-1 yesterday. A little concern for the Mets as Scherzer leaves this game after just 67 pitches with fatigue in his left side. And every time I've read this, I've read about 12 articles on this today. Fatigue in his left side in quotation marks every single time. Remember, he was out with an oblique injury earlier in the year for, I want to say, close to a month. So, listen, not good for the Mets if that's the case. The Cardinals win 8-4. Paul Goldschmidt hits his 34th home run. We'll talk a little bit today maybe about Albert Pujols as well as he chases 700 home runs. No hotter player in baseball right now than Albert Pujols. The White Sox, who I buried earlier this week, I think they win their third or so in a row. Dylan Cease, as we mentioned, comes within one out of a no-hitter. He does get the win in this game to go to 13-6 with a 2.13 ERA. And the White Sox are staying alive. Only 3 back in the Central. The Mariners beat the Guardians 4-0. The Braves beat the Marlins 2-1. What else we got here? Brewers is an important game, beating the red-hot Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are playing really good baseball of late. And this is a good win for the Brewers. We'll talk a little bit about them. The Angels beat the Astros, but nothing that really matters. And the Dodgers continue their dominance over the Padres. Listen, anybody who thinks, and we'll talk about this later, I know they lost Friday night 7-1, but their record over the Padres this year is probably very good. This Dodger team is really good. The history that Mark Mancini will bring up later probably means nothing. So let me, before I move on to a little bit more conversation here, let me get to the right page before I go to your comments. Change mouses, or is it mice? Does anybody know if this is, 2 of these are mouses or mice? I have no idea. I went to Perth. All right, let's see what we got here. Already got those. Best defense they've had in years. Back to the Notre Dame game. We'll certainly dive into that more, Kenny, when we get to the college football segment here in a little bit. But yes, the Irish played some great. Listen, that Ohio State offense is loaded. C.J. Stroud is a Heisman Trophy candidate. They played really well for 3/4 of this game, or almost 3/4 of this game. And then maybe they ran out of gas a little bit. Who knows? They'll be tough to beat. This might be their only loss. Yankees in deep trouble. I've been talking about, let me put this banner up. I'll put this banner up now, I guess. Did I put it up here? I think I did. Well, we'll stay on this. I'll talk more about that in a second as well, by the way. It's just, I'm disturbed by what's going on here. I really am. It's more of the same. I say history doesn't matter, but they haven't changed. Benintendi, the only guy who's hitting well on a team, and besides Judge, he's out now on the disabled list. They've got injuries up and down the bullpen. Rizzo's hurt again, and when he was playing, he wasn't playing well. This team is in deep, deep trouble, guys, and I don't know exactly where it ends. The O's, Kenny Gifford rooting for the underdog O's, who, by the way, since I was talking about this a second ago, I'll give you this. They're 1.5 games, still a game and a half behind the final wild card spot. But the Rays and Mariners are only 2 games ahead of the Rays for the 3rd spot. So this is a very tight race. It's going to be a great race here in September. And you're going to have to add the Yankees to this mix if they continue to decline. And the Twins trying to stay relevant at 5 games back. This White Sox 6 games back. We'll talk more about that in a bit too. What do we got? Yeah. They have 4-game series with the. I know. Again, I said this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. The Yankees' biggest game of the Sunday game of the year was against the Blue Jays after losing the first 2 and having the Mets coming up afterwards. This is a huge game today. They lose today, they're going to be 3 games ahead with 4 games left with the Rays, games left with the Blue Jays. Which, by the way, when the new schedule comes into play, some of these games won't even happen in September, which is ridiculousness of the new schedule. Billy Pulver, good morning, Billy. Anybody want to take a guess where Billy is today, as he is our Waldo? Is Billy in town, or is Billy, somewhere around the globe? Yankees and Cowboys are true heartbreakers. Well, look at we had 27 world championships. I mean, am I disappointed in their performance the last 19 years? Yes. Watson's in the town of Florida, also known as Minaville. Actually, give me some clarification, guys. Since this is a stream of consciousness show, is Minaville in town of Florida the same place? I've always said yes. Some people tell me no. I'd love to know if anybody has some input. That would be our Amsterdamians. Yankees coach explains it all. One-hit wonder. Listen, Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman both need to be accountable for the mess that we're watching right now. This team was rolling towards 108 wins, 110 wins, 118 wins, their pace was. Pace means nothing. The flaws were hidden behind no injuries, behind maybe the way teams were playing at the time they were playing them. I'm not telling you this is a bad baseball team, but I'm telling you it's a badly constructed team, as I've been telling you for 5 years. Well, I've only been telling you on this show for 2+ years. But I've been saying for 5 years, this team. Alan says that these are mice. Oops, sorry. Where'd I go? Clicked all the way down. Alan says that these are mice. So, again, make a note, Perthites, Perth graduates. Wasn't sure. I know a group of rodents are mice. I wasn't sure about these particular items on my console. Only thing better than the Yankee failure is the O's winning, and you all laughed at me. Now, who's laughing? I know. When did I laugh? I may have laughed, before the season. But I've been giving the O's credit for months now for playing really good baseball, Kenny. Would I have predicted they'd do anything before this season? No, because there was no reason to predict it. Their track record had been awful. Their management decisions had been awful. At least appeared to be so. They get paid to do these things, and they've done them pretty well, apparently. And they also had the cojones at the trade deadline to trade their most popular player and one of the best relievers in the American League, at least, if not baseball this year, Lopez, at the trade deadline to get better later on down the road. Not better this year. They felt they could still compete, and they have, and make those moves to be stronger going forward. It's a team to be careful of. It's a scrappy team. Who doesn't love a scrappy team? They're 10 games over 500 now. So kudos to you, Kenny, for touting them for as long as you have. Alicia Pulver, good to have you in from London. We are all over the place here. Alicia lives in London with her husband, and I know Billy is out there to visit her from time to time. We've seen the pictures, and I don't believe Billy's ever checked into the show from London. So thank you, Alicia, for popping in. And do me a favor, try to keep your dad under control here this morning. Missing your New York sports over here? Is there no way to watch? I know the Mad New Yorker told me when he lived in Europe, he was always able to get Yankee games. I'm not sure how, but I don't know that he's with us here yet this morning, but we'll have to find out. He is Waldo, right? Great to have Alicia. Look at Alicia participating right away out of the gate here. So moving the show up a half an hour has already been productive because we've got Alicia Pulver in the show today with lovely comments, especially confirming my Waldo comments for Mr. William Pulver. You never, the thing that was, I know you go visit your son and you visit Alicia in London and your son in state of Washington, I think Seattle. I'm not sure. I can't remember where. I guess Seattle. But when you pop up the NCAA final just out of the blue, yeah, it feels like, what the heck is going on here? Oh, I missed one here from Alan. Sorry, Alan. Last series is in Texas. Yes, Alan texted me this earlier. You find it funny. I do not find it funny that the Yankees would have to go to Texas needing to win these 3 games or 2 of these 3 games to make the playoffs. I find it ironic. It's funny because 2 weeks ago we were joking about how wouldn't it be funny if in the last inning of the World Series with the Yankees and the Dodgers, if Joey Gallo hits a home run to win the game. I'm just happy to make the playoffs right now. The question is, what have you done for me lately? Lose. Well, I agree. They've had good teams, but in New York and especially in the Bronx, having good teams isn't good enough. I say this every week on the show. 1 World Series in nearly 20 years is not good enough. It's really 19 years. And Brian Cashman has been there for the entire run. So what's the common denominator here to the Yankees' failures in October? Yeah, he's got a World Series ring, 1 in 19 years. This is not the Royals. This is not it's not even the San Francisco Giants, guys. All who have as many or more World Series in the Yankees since 2009. Pulverizers in Edinburgh. I'm going to guess the Bachelorville Bridge, Edinburgh. At least he's coming in October. I should, yeah. I'm going to be on a cruise in October. I've already got like 2 weeks off, and I don't know that I can take more time off in October. But someday, my wife's retired now. When I retire, we're going to do some different traveling. Right now, when I take vacations, I just need to be on a cruise ship or a beach, mind totally turned off, except to do this show for you guys. Sometimes when you catch it, other ball games, yeah, it's probably hard to watch live for sure. I guess 5 with a 5 hour. Is it a 5 hour time difference? I think. Which was your idea? The NCAA final? At least you haven't been part of this show, so sometimes I lose track of what we're talking about in a conversation because there's so many things going on here. Here it's hilarious that the Mad New Yorker comes in here and tells me to relax about the Yankees. Give me one. Look at. Other than Aaron Judge, you tell me. Give me one reason. I have any confidence. I should have any confidence the Yankees will be fine. They have not beaten an elite pitcher. No, they beat Scherzer a couple weeks ago. But as a rule, they don't beat elite pitchers, which has been their downfall in October for 5 years or more. Just the last 5 years we'll talk about. The last year of Girardi and the beginning of the Boone regime. They don't beat elite pitchers. And then the World Series comes, guess what you face many, many times? Some of the best pitchers in the league. You talk all you want about the Astros cheating, cost the Yankees a World Series, which is very debatable because they would have had to get to the World Series and win anyway. But stealing signs, which is part of baseball, guys, it's gone on for 120 years, doesn't help you hit or doesn't keep you from hitting pitchers. Helps their hitters. Yankees do not hit elite pitchers or even non-elite pitchers. God. Give me some evidence, Carlos, that this team's not in trouble. Here I am constantly telling you the Mets aren't in trouble. The Mets are fine. You want to tell me how the bottom's going to fall out of the Mets because that's what they do historically. But you're going to stick up for this team that has failed year after year after year in October. They don't win this game today. I'm going to tell you right now, they don't win this game today. I think they don't. They don't win the division. And even the playoffs are in jeopardy. You have cruise ships in Europe? True. Not to London, no. I can't cruise to London. Pretty sure. Not great with geography, but because I went to Perth. But I don't think I can cruise to London. You can't fire him now, Billy. I wouldn't disagree. Listen, you guys think back. You guys think back to last July when I was telling you Aaron Boone had to go. And who did I say bring in? Out of the booth, because he was right there under your nose. One Buck Showalter. Go find the video, or I'll find a video, and I'll play it for you. Yankees, again, it's not just the hitting with the Yankees. It's a lot of things. The base running's got atrocious. Again, the defense has been awful. And I will tell you this, Carlos, before I read your next comment. You and I have this disagreement. I say don't throw kids into the pennant race. I was saying that when they were 16 games ahead because there was no reason to bring them up here and sit. Well, now they brought up Oswald Peraza. Play him. This team now needs a spark. This is when you do what you wanted, Carlos. Put him in the lineup. I don't care if it's at shortstop. I don't care if it's at second base. I really don't care. I mean, DJ's likely to be playing first base a lot because Rizzo's got a back problem, which is never a good thing. And don't underestimate the loss of Rizzo because he's the glue to that defense, especially the infield defense. But put Peraza in and let him see what he can do. He played yesterday, and I know he went over, but they got to see if he can provide a spark. And again, this is a totally different situation, Carlos. So don't tell me you were right back in July or June and July when they were 16 games ahead. That was not the time to bring these kids up. Now they're desperate. The time is now. And yes, fire Boone. Boone and Cashman are going after the season. If this collapse comes to fruition, if Boone keeps his job, Boone won't keep his job. He doesn't have any more coaches to throw under the bus to keep his job like he did last year. So now you know my respect level for Aaron Boone, as I talked about when that happened, is about zero. The only reason you shouldn't be worried is that Yankee Stadium has not turned into a pot farm. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what that means. Well, the Yankees may be going fishing before. The Mets will make the playoffs. Mets can't blow it. It's not you again, Carlos. You probably weren't here when I said this. You can't compare their two situations. Mets only have a 3-game lead, but they've really played pretty consistent baseball throughout the season. The Braves just got hot. And if they lose the division, they're still making the playoffs. There's no guarantee if the Yankees continue this swoon, they'll even make the playoffs. Once the Yankees are over without a World Series, yeah. I know. You know, I got fooled myself. I told you before the season this team would win 85 or 86 games. Still might happen, by the way. That'd be very tough, but it could still happen. I mean, they're stuck on 79. And with the August they had, it's possible I'm right if they duplicate it in September. But they fooled me. They fooled everybody. This team is not that much different, especially before they made the trades. I still think, if I will tell you this, Carlos, if there's any reason for me to have some hope, it's that Joey Gallo isn't here. And if Andrew Benintendi can get back and get healthy, and it's a shame he got hurt because he was the hottest player in the team, probably Judge included, the last 11 or 12 games, had really found his groove. He's the anti-Gallo, was playing great defense, great offense, and they're going to miss him. But they need Rizzo to get healthy. They need Benintendi to get healthy. They need Bader to get healthy, so they got another outfielder. And I don't have to ever watch Aaron Hicks out there. And they got to get the bullpen straightened out. It's a freaking mess. It's an absolute mess. Oh, what do we got? You already got that. Sorry, Billy. Waldo. Great to have your daughter with us today, Billy. Confirming my suspicions about you are really a cartoon character. Let's see what else is going on. Let's take a look at some of these. We talked about the Yankees just now. The Yankees collapsed. The Mets are fighting tough. They're holding tough. Look at the difference between the Mets and the Yankees. And the Mets, by the way, now have 6 games better than the Yankees. They've held steady. Again, if I told you, any Met fan in March, that you'd be 36 games over 500 and 2 games ahead of the Braves, excuse me. Braves have won 4 in a row again, by the way. On September 4th, you'd say, I'll take it. And the single biggest acquisition for any team in baseball this year is Buck Showalter joining the Mets as a manager. Single biggest addition for any team. Yankees could have had him. And Buck would have gone back in a second. Buck talks a lot about not being able to fulfill the team's destiny when he was there in the 90s. He and Gene Michael rebuilt this team while George Steinbrenner was suspended. Best thing never happened to the Yankees. All you revisionist historians out there who want to, when George died in 2010, and God rest his soul, but all the revisionist history about what a great owner George Steinbrenner was. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not a fact. Did he restore the team to glory in the 70s? Yeah, but he had Gabe Paul there to help him. He turned his team into a laughingstock in the 80s and the early 90s. And it wasn't until he got suspended and Gene Michael had to run the show day to day and Buck Showalter was a manager that they righted the ship. And then Buck gets fired. And the team that they put together goes on to become a dynasty. What we got here? They do now. They didn't. Again, Carlos. If that's a question because this can't come up between us, yes. When you got idiots out there who are getting infections, getting tattoos during the season, yes. When you have your closer go on the disabled list, yes. When you have somebody who was really pitching well, and I'm having trouble remembering his name right now. Bear with me a second. Who's the guy I'm freaking thinking of? Oh, bear with me. Who's the guy they picked up in a trade? Oh, Efros was pitching really well. He goes on the DL. Talion's hurt. Cortez is hurt. You can't predict these things. And you can't just go out and get depth when you have issues everywhere else. And please don't throw Jordan Montgomery in my face either, because Jordan Montgomery, while they could use him right now, I still don't think that was an awful trade because he wasn't even going to be on a postseason roster. Don't worry. you'll see the Yankees in your crew. I won't see them. I don't need to see them. I just have to watch a Patriot game when the day I get on that ship. You did, and they tried to trade him. They were this close to trading him, and I said they didn't need to do it, but they almost got Pablo Lopez from the Marlins. They were this close, but then the Marlins, Glaber wasn't enough. They wanted Peraza as well. I'm not trading these kids. Said that before. So did I. I mean, I told you and everybody. You can go back and watch my baseball preview show. I had the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves all in the World Series. That's impossible. In the playoffs, and the Braves and the Mets fighting for the division down to the wire. It's opening week. So about the Mets getting to playoffs. So, but I don't. It's an opening week show about. Nobody said you didn't know what you're talking. Look at Carlos. You'd like to spin my words. If I said something that totally agreed with you, then I could not have said you didn't know what you're talking about in this instance. I just told you I predicted this entire order of finish in the East. So, again, and I'm wrong 50% of the time. I'm not right 50% of the time, or 90% of the time, like you claim to be. It's a tremendous, tremendous job of procrastination, and you should get into sports wagering. That's my only comment there. Nobody uses cash anymore. I used cash yesterday at the bar at this wedding I was at because I can't. I make sure there's going to be one bartender or two bartenders. I don't remember there. Tip them big early. You never wait for anything. They see you have 5 people in line, and they got my drinks ready for me. You gotta have a plan when you get there. So anyway, let's get to some of the other stuff going around about baseball. Jeepers creepers, these Mets. Cash is king. No, not Cashman. Not Cashman, that's for sure. That's for sure, Carlos. Let's look at some of these divisions real quick. I do want to get into some other stuff, so we'll go through this a little bit quickly. I'm probably not going to. Maybe I will. What the hell? We aren't going to have a lot of NFL today. We'll have a lot of NFL next week, and we will do the preview show that you'll see during the week one night this week. Around the league, let me get to the standings. Lost them. We talked about the American League East and blew in the face. Biggest game of the year for the Yankees this year. The Rays have been on fire. The Rays might get Franco back here sooner than later. That would be a boost to them as well through the month of September if he can play up to his potential at all. And then you got the Orioles, the Blue Jays and the Orioles still probably Blue Jays for sure and the Orioles potentially in that wild card race. In the Central, there's no good teams here. The Guardians lead it 5 games over 500. Whoever wins this division is going to go home first round. They'll lose in a wild card standings. The Guardians lost 4 in a row. It's a team formerly known as the Indians. I don't need to play it that straight. And the Twins are now back to 1 behind, and they've lost 3 in a row. And the team I keep trying to bury, the White Sox, are only 2 games behind after winning 4 in a row. Tony La Russa out indefinitely. Tony La Russa may be done for the season and probably done managing the White Sox forever. 77 years old. This team has not lived up to its potential the last 2 years. They did make the playoffs last year, made an early exit, but this team was built now. Tony La Russa was hired to win now, and it hasn't happened. I'm not even sure who's managing that team right now. Who is managing the Chicago White Sox at the moment? Anybody know? Where's Alan? It's always fun to watch me type, isn't it? Miguel Cairo, former Yankee, former Tampa Bay Ray, former probably a lot of teams, Cardinals. Great utility man. He is now serving as the good for him. Good for him. And this is a guy I'd like to see get a job. So good for Miguel Cairo. Got this team playing some better baseball in the last week. Just lost my screen again. Having one of those days where the screen just keeps popping on and off. All right. In the West, not much going on. The Astros with a 10-game lead. Still now a 6-game lead over the Yankees. 6-game lead, full 6-game lead over the Yankees for the home field advantage. That's all I've talked about for a month. And is that even relevant anymore? We've all assumed for months it'd be Yankees and Astros. We may not even see them. What else we got here? I'll take it easy on you, Alan. Remember, I'm old. I can't be pissed off for 4 straight hours. So Carlos pisses me off for 2 hours here, and it blows. My sales just collapse. So, okay, I'll say it. You don't know what you're talking. Oh, sorry. I know who that was meant for. I'm sorry, Carlos, but. How was your trip? It was interesting, but it was work and nothing to do fun-wise there. So it was a late all hands on deck thing, and some good, some bad. Montreal won last night. Ooh, the Alouettes? Not even sure. Was Kenny at the Toronto game up in the corner of his wife? I think that was. Yeah. Are you talking about the Oakland game last week, Billy? I'm not sure what went on in Toronto. I don't know where Drew is today. Drew might have had some other commitments this morning, so he has not yet joined us. I don't know if I remind him we were starting at 8:30 now as well, and I know sometimes he pops in a little bit after 9 to make sure we're talking baseball. Oh, I got you. Nationals. That's a good. That's a good point. By the way, Montreal wants baseball back. My only question is, why didn't you support it the first time? Now I know you had a horrible stadium situation up there. The Olympic Stadium was no place to be playing baseball. I went to some games there, and I got to tell you, worst place you could ever watch a baseball game was Olympic Stadium in Montreal. But you didn't support your team. Major League Baseball had to take over your team, and now Montreal's campaign to get it back. Ugh. Listen, Carlos is right sometimes. Carlos is right about the Mets. I just had to tell him, but now he's arguing with the fact that I said he was wrong about the Mets. You need to review the videotape, Carlos, before you come up with these comments. I've got the tapes. So there's no way I told you didn't know what you were talking about the Mets. Speaking of which, let's go to the National League. Mets, as I said, 2-game lead over the Braves. This is going to be a great race through September, guys. Bad news for the Mets and losing Scherzer potentially last night. We'll find out what that's all about with the fatigue in his left side. But don't be surprised that the Braves beat the Mets out here. And I don't think it is a big deal. This division is one I can say is a big deal because the losers are going to have to play in a wild card round. They are going to get to play all their games at home, but you're liable to use up your best pitchers and not be able to use them for the start of the divisional series. So this is a big race, and the Mets have I think the Mets have a better than good chance to win it. But I think it's a coin flip at this point. Either one of these teams could come out on top here. The Cardinals, I'd like to say there's a sleeper in October. I know that I think Allen's brought this up. Some other people have brought this up, but they're playing great baseball. They won 3 in a row again. They've gotten to 23 games over, 7.5 ahead of the very disappointing Brewers. And I'm really afraid the Brewers are going to do something drastic and fire one of the best managers in my mind in baseball, Craig Counsell, who I think has done a great job here. It's not his fault. They won't give him any bats. So I think the Cardinals go out early. Dodgers continue to lead the Padres by 18. Can't wait for Mark Mancini to tell me how bad the Dodgers are today. Wild card race, we've talked about this quite a bit already. You know, the Rays and the Mariners have the first 2 spots in the American League, 2 games ahead of the Blue Jays, who have the 3rd and last spot, and only a game and a half back to the Orioles. You can throw the Yankees in this mix if they lose today, guys, because it becomes a very real possibility. When we're talking next week, the Yankees may be closer to the wild card than they are to wrapping up this division. In the National League, still a 4-team race. The Braves, 9.5 games ahead. So that would, gives the Mets, if you want to put them in there, 11.5 games ahead of the team that would be the first team out, I should say. The Padres only a half a game lead over the Phillies, and the Phillies only a 2.5 game lead over the Brewers. Brewers still do have a decent path to the playoffs. I think the Phillies will hold on. And I think the Padres and Phillies will be early outs in the playoffs. And this will come down to the Braves, the Mets, and the Dodgers. Fulton County Stadium was almost as great as Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium was a dump. Oh, my God. Yankees played there 2 years, 74, 75. I was a kid. What a dump. I'm sorry, it was a dump. Yankee Stadium was a dump, but at least it had some history and some tradition and some character. Shea Stadium was a dump. We don't need bats. Wait a minute. I got my bat right here, by the way, just in case anything bad happens. I've always got my bat right here ready to go. In fact, Kenny, I can still hit a fastball. I hit the cages a few weeks ago. Now, Garen, the fastballs were only 70 miles an hour, but I still hit fastballs. I even batted left-handed a few times and connected pretty good. So, baseball analytics is part of the game, but you got to play ball. Analytics is, most of analytics is a lot of nonsense. Okay, it's what happens on the field. Analytics has ruined the game, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because managers have zero feel for the game. Aaron Boone's a perfect example. Even Cash from Kevin Cash from the Rays, they all come out there with a script. It doesn't matter what happens. They don't watch what's going on in front of them. A reliever comes in, gets the side out with 3 pitches, and his job is done. We're going to roll the dice and gamble that the next guy is going to be just as good as he's pitching right now. It's just stupid. Oh, I see. You're comparing to Fulton County Stadium. I've never been in Fulton County Stadium. I can tell you one thing. A lot of home runs were hitting that stadium, the launching pad. Excellent point, Neil. You keep preaching analytics. All you guys, like the Mad New Yorker, want to preach analytics and what it means to baseball. Go read Kevin Kernan. My friend Kevin Kernan, who wrote for years for the New York Post, one of my favorite guests on this show. We're going to have Kevin on soon, maybe to preview the postseason. He's now writing for ball9.com. Go read Kevin's stuff. Analytics makes no sense. It tries to use logic and say that numbers mean something. They mean whatever you want them to mean. Exit velocities. Again, anything that tells me to take a pitcher out of the game who just came in, threw 3, 4, 5, 6 pitches to retire the side, and I should roll the dice and hope the next guy is going to pitch that well, just because that's when his job description says he should come in and the analytics say he should come in is just absolute nonsense. Trying to keep it clean in case Alicia's still here. You know what? Do we have time here? I think we do. Let me go into I got one other topic I wanted to get into here a little bit before we move on from baseball to a little bit of college football. I want to look at a couple of the moves from the trade deadline. At what panned out and what didn't, right? So as we look at a few of these, the guys who did really well, the Cardinals hit the jackpot with Jordan Montgomery. They traded a guy who wasn't playing in Bader for Jordan Montgomery, who's only like 4-1 with a 1 point something ERA. He won again the other day. He's only had one bad outing. And he even pitched a complete game shutout. Now, again, I don't think this was necessarily a bad trade for the Yankees because they weren't going to use Jordan Montgomery in the postseason, but now they could probably use him here in the regular season. But it hasn't been the Yankees starting pitching that's the problem. Herman's pitched fine, replacing Cortez. Ugh. Another winner, Luis Castillo in the Seattle Mariners. He's pitched just as well for Seattle as he did with the Cardinals, and he's one of those elite pitchers the Yankees can't beat. They faced him once already with Seattle, and he shut him down. This is a good move for Seattle and paying off. Juan Soto, I'm going to say, is a wash. I mean, the San Diego's no better, no worse than they were without him. And he's not playing that well. I mean, he's doing okay. Got like a 400 on base percentage, but probably because why pitch to him? So he's had a tough year. This trade will show in the future whether it's going to be a winner or a loser. But right now, I don't think it's done anything of great help. Acquisitions, some others that might have helped. David Robinson with the Phillies. He's pitched really well, much better than he was with his first stint, which was wrecked by injuries. And he's pitched really well. He's only allowed a couple runs over 11 innings. Reese McGuire with the Red Sox. I'm not getting into the Red Sox. Nobody cares. Chris Martin with the Dodgers. 15 strikeouts in 12 and a half innings, or 12 and a third innings. You can't have half an inning. He's helped keep the Dodgers rolling since he came in here. So he's not using a lot of high leverage spots, but he's, again, a guy a bullpen needs, like Jonathan Loaizaga for the Yankees when he was pitching well last year. Noah Syndergaard. I talked with a Philly sports guy, Jamie Paggs. He hated Syndergaard coming here. He's pitched really well without very high strikeout numbers. He doesn't have the stuff he had when he was with the Mets, but he's helped lengthen that Phillies rotation. Andrew Benintendi, early on, it wasn't well. It took him some time to get adjusted, but he's played really well, especially when he batted leadoff. And in his last 11 games where he got hurt, he was hitting really well. Mid to high 300s, couple of home runs, bunch of doubles, 11 RBIs. He's played very, very well. And after, again, a bit of a rough start, but again, there's an adjustment period sometimes here. And he's the anti-Joey Gallo, by the way. Iglesias going to the Braves. It's been lights out since he got traded. And he gets to pitch in front of Kensley Jansen, and he may close out some games for the Braves before you see it. I'm not a big fan of Kensley Jansen. If the Braves have one weak spot, it might be that. Others that have done well, Anthony Bass has done well with the Blue Jays. Scott Efros, who I mentioned before with the Yankees, has pitched well, and now he's hurt. Tyler Mahle has been up and down with the Twins, but I guess overall it's a win. Daniel Vogelbach, who I bashed when the Yankees or the Mets picked him up, has done very well. Joey Gallo's helped the Dodgers a little bit. Joey Gallo had a couple of good weeks. He's back to being Joey Gallo now. He's hitting under 200 with the Dodgers. He's below 170 for the season still. Lopez has helped the Twins. Had a couple of rough outings recently, but they haven't had a lot of places where they could use him either. So he's gone some time in between appearances. And Trey Mancini's done pretty well, I think, with the actually, he hasn't done as well. You would think that his game would be really conducive to that little bandbox they play in there in Houston. But he struggled a bit. But I think he'll still overall be a pretty good addition for this team. Acquisitions that haven't helped. Taylor Rogers with the Brewers. Just so-so. The only plus side is, he's pitched to almost a 4 ERA. And they basically traded closer for closer with him and Hader. The only upside is Josh Hader was just absolutely atrocious for the Padres. His ERA, I think, is about 20. He's out of the closer role and hasn't helped them at all. Brandon Drury and Josh Bell going to the Padres as well. Drury's hitting less than 200. And I think Josh Bell's under 200 as well. He's starting to hit a little bit now, but, listen, this is a team no longer waiting for Fernando Tatis Jr., and they know that this isn't going to help. Whit Merrifield with the Blue Jays. The initial concern about whether he's going to get vaccinated went away, but now the concern is maybe they shouldn't have got him vaccinated because he's not playing all that well with the Blue Jays. Brandon Marsh with the Phillies was expected to improve that outfield defense, and he did for a few games, but then he fell apart. And same with Stratton, Odorizzi with the Braves. He got scratched from the start yesterday. Darren Ruff with the Mets, Eric Hosmer with the Red Sox, Matt Bush with the Brewers. All horrible acquisitions. Some really bad ones too. Michael Givens with the Mets. As good as Vogelbach has been, Givens has been the anti Vogelbach. He's actually given up 12 runs over his first 13 appearances with the Mets. So there you go. Frankie Montas with the Yankees. Been atrocious. Been awful. No other way to put it. Josh Hader we already talked about. So there's some of the news around you got a few cases here. Hold on here. I hate Philly. I like Pags. Max seems to be doing better, and Jack is a pain. Jack's a very knowledgeable guy, but he comes up with some weird things, by the way. My favorite with Jack, and I love Jack. Jack, we're talking about the Mac and Jack show, and Jack Hirsch, Hall of Fame boxing writer. And he knows sports really well. But he's got this thing about relief quarterbacks in the NFL. They should use them like they use relievers in Major League Baseball. Doesn't work. Mark Matthias has been great for Texas since we traded him to the Brewers. I get it. I didn't look a whole lot at non-contenders. I was kind of looking just at people that were in contention. So I'll give you Mark Matthias. And you're doing pretty well with the guys you got at the trade deadline last year as well from the Yankees, Alan. Givens did do well Friday. Okay, good. The numbers I stated still stand up. Has not been a help. Well, again, I get that. There are going to be the fact that Buck's still throwing him out there tells me that they still have some confidence in this guy, right? And maybe, we say Vogelbach, and I can't remember the reliever that the Mets traded for Vogelbach now. His name's escaping, but he is pitching really well for the Mets in a very small sample size. So, sometimes trades help you and hurt you at the same time. So, anyway, it is what it is. Real quick on Albert Pujols. By the way, I'm rooting for Albert Pujols. 694 home runs right now after a tremendous August. 6 more to get to 700. Will he play enough in September? to get it is going to be the question. I mean, I hit more than that in August. One of the hottest hitters in baseball in August. And he needs 2 more to pass A-Rod at 696. I would root for Albert Pujols to get. The question is going to be, if he gets to 699, does he come back for another year? I'm not sure. We'll find out, though. Let's look real quick at some college football stuff from yesterday. We won't go too in depth. What we got here from the Mad New Yorker? Vogelbach's best attribute is he works the count and has a good eye. By the way, exactly how the Yankee teams of the 90s, why they were so good. They would get starting pitchers out of the game because they would take pitches, work the count, and they'd get guys, up 100, 110 pitches in five or six innings. They get into teams' bullpens and beat them. This Yankee team doesn't do that. And he looks like me, and he also looks like me in a baseball uniform, by the way. So, all right, a couple of news and notes. We'll get into a little bit of NFL here, but we're not going to have a lot. But I do want to cover a couple of stories from yesterday. We'll go through some of these top 25 scores real quick, make a few comments. I'll take your guys' comments, and then we'll spend a little bit of time on the NFL before. I don't know why my screen keeps going, so bear with me, guys. The Ohio State and Notre Dame, as we said yesterday, it was a really, really good game. Notre Dame defense played really well. I mean, I said into the third quarter, the middle of the third quarter, and Oklahoma. Ohio State scored 2 touchdowns to win this 21-10. But even so, holding Ohio State to 21 points is a victory in itself. I got a feeling this Notre Dame team may be their only loss. This is a good character-building game, and this will not hurt Notre Dame in a playoff chase. Not hurting them. Not even a little bit. Miami destroys Bethune-Cookman 70-13. If they hadn't, it would have been concerning. Alabama beats, a decent Utah State team, 55-0, but they're going to win those games at home. Georgia, as I said earlier, in one of the most surprising scores of the day. Not that they won the game, not even that they won the game fairly handily, but they beat them 49-3. No Power 5 team like Oregon should go to any other Power 5 school, top echelon Power 5 school like Oregon. Whether they're overrated at 11 or not, should never be getting beat 49-3. Texas A&M, by the way, Texas A&M with one of the great recruiting classes in the country again for Jimbo Fisher. That's me, Jimbo Fisher. They only beat Sam Houston 31-0. Sounds like a lot until you realize who Sam Houston is. Utah, everybody's sleeper pick to get to the playoff, as well as mine, takes a big loss, I think, yesterday against what we think isn't one of the better Florida teams we've seen over the years. They lose this game 29-26 on the road. This could be a death blow to Utah's playoff chances because Pac-12's not very good. Despite USC's big victory yesterday, this could be a blow to them. Michigan wins 51-7 over Colorado State. Good start for Michigan. We'll see what and we talked about this on the college football huddle. What is Harbaugh thinking? He played McNamara yesterday. He's going to play McCarthy next week. And then what? Again, whether you're talking about the college or the pros, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So I'm not really sure what McNamara needs to do to really prove to Harbaugh he should keep this job. But they played very well yesterday, and he played very well. And he also played well last year, leading them to their first Big Ten title in 17 years. Oklahoma, as we talked about earlier, Allen was at this game. They went 45-13 over UTEP in Venable's debut, returning to Oklahoma, coming home to coach. And it's a good feeling there. UAlbany, right here I can almost see part of the campus from here. They go to Baylor for a payday yesterday. I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it was a couple $100,000. and they get their butts kicked 69-10. No surprise there. NC State with a squeaker over East Carolina, winning this game 21-20. USC pounds Rice 66-14. Not reading anything into that either. Caleb Williams was very good, but this is Rice, guys. And I'll get to your comments here in a little bit. Wisconsin wins 38-0 over Illinois. Arkansas, in an interesting game yesterday, wins over Cincinnati 31-24. Kentucky with a convincing win over Miami of Ohio 37-13. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin beat Troy 28-10. Troy sometimes is not a bad football school, so that's a nice win for Coach Kiffin. That elicited a couple of comments. And Houston squeaks by Texas San Antonio. I had picked Texas San Antonio to win this game. They nearly did. They went to overtime, and they outscored UTS by 2. They got to the point where you had to do the 2-point conversions to try to win the game. So, fun game. UTSA, Texas San Antonio, will still, I think, have a very good year and be one of those group of 5 teams that we're going to be talking about through the year. BYU dismantles South Florida on the road 50-10. Watch out for BYU in their last season as an independent. A couple other games of note. North Carolina, Appalachian State, which was a very, very interesting game. And was a shootout that we kind of expected. I thought Appalachian State might actually win this game. But there were 62 points scored in the fourth quarter of this game. Appalachian State got 40 of them to come back. Had a chance to win the game, or tie the game, I should say, with a 2-point conversion at the end. I think there might have been no time on the clock. I'm not sure. But a pretty well-designed play, and the kid just couldn't hang on to the football. North Carolina still can't play any defense, guys. This is not a good sign for North Carolina in the ACC this year. Defense is their problem before. Defense is their problem today. Syracuse wins 31-7. Nice win for the Orangemen. Had a couple of injuries in this game just before halftime, but they do manage to put a licking on Louisville, who beat them up last year, I think like 49-3 or something. They went 31-7, so a nice win there. Clemson will play Georgia Tech tonight. Some other games of note there. Rutgers beats BC, comes back to win that game. I had bet BC yesterday, heartbreaker. And Wake played yesterday, but I guess they did not. Any other games of interest for you guys here? Let's see what kind of, we have some comments up or not? Before I move on. Oh, we do have some picks here. Hold on. I got a lot of stuff here. Biggest winners from yesterday from Allen. Miami. Look at, you see the UCAP has made it to the top of the hat pile. But beating Bethune-Cookman 70-13 doesn't really do anything for me. They're going to play Texas A&M in a couple of weeks. That will show me something right there. Well, sorry, who else you got here? Alabama. So what? You got to go beat, Utah State. While they're a decent program, you got to wax them at home. Georgia, very impressive. I will give you Georgia for sure, and I'll give you Florida. The other two, they're kind of so what games. There's nothing there to really show me they're as good or not. I got to see them play some better competition. But Georgia, beating number 11 team in the nation, and I don't give a crap whether you think Oregon is overrated or not at 11. For any top-level program to go in there and get beat 49-3, after all of those kids that Georgia lost to the NFL draft, a record number of starters and team players in general. Kirby Smart's showing. I said this a couple of times on the college football show. Kirby Smart is now showing what it takes to join the Dabo Sweeneys and the Nick Sabans of the world, and that's be able to retool and continue to win. This was a very impressive victory yesterday. Very impressive. You know, you can say that, Neil, and I don't disagree that Oregon's a fraud team, but Oregon doesn't go out and get beat 49-3. So I'm not taking anything away from Georgia here. Because, again, I have my doubts about Georgia. I've said I expect that team to take a step back. Now, was that bad? When I say take a step back, similar to what maybe Clemson did last year, you know, go 10-2 and everybody thinks you had an awful year. You know, we got to get over the fact that, you know, if you don't make the playoff, you've had a failure of a year. 10-2 is a pretty good year in college football today. So I'm not taking anything away from this Georgia team. Very impressed with this victory. Don't disagree with your Oregon comments that they're a fraud, but this is a team that through the years has had some pretty good teams. They've been in the playoff. We'll talk a little bit about the playoff real quick, and we'll talk more about that Wednesday night as well. Oregon is in deep doo-doo, and so is the Pac-12. Pac-12 had Oregon and Utah go on the road and lose. This team has zero chance now, unless somehow USC runs a table, which I do not expect, of getting a team even sniffing the playoff. Because I said all along, if you're from the ACC or you're from the Pac-12, you better go undefeated if you want to be considered for one of those 4 spots. And that's gone now for Utah for sure, and definitely Oregon, I think. So, and again, it hurts the rest of the league. Because USC, even if USC is really good, which I think they're going to be overrated this year, they'll be good. They'll be fine down the road. They might be better than I think. If the conference is not good, it's going to hurt their standing. So it'll be hard for them to get in with a loss. Biggest winner should be for Iowa would what? They didn't score a touchdown yesterday. So when they would have win 7-3. Over South Dakota State. It was not a horrible football team, but they didn't score a touchdown. Weirdest game ever. A field goal and 2 safeties for Iowa. North Carolina, definitely a loser. Oregon, a loser. And Utah, definitely a loser. I don't disagree with any of that. The terrible showing for the Pac-12. As I just said, conference is in trouble. How about the kicker who missed 2 kicks at the end and cost his team the game? All you can do is kick. Well, there's something to be said for that. One of the best, Stetson Bennett was tremendous. And, you know, he's gotten a bad rap through the years. He was getting a bad rap right up through the SEC championship game last year. And he showed in the championship game what he was made of. And I think this is a good quarterback. Is he going to be a quarterback on the next level? I don't know. The Michigan O-line looked very good. I'll give you that. Listen, Colorado State, again, not a great team, but the Mountain West isn't a horrendous league. So this is not necessarily a cupcake start for Michigan. So, you know, I will give them an impressive score yesterday. Yes. We'll get Mancini's address for you, and we'll get those cheesesteaks back to New York. I don't know where you're going to find them in L.A. They're as good as Philly, but that's up to him. Billy's going to California. Waldo will be on the move again. Don't care how much money they pay you. What was Albany thinking about playing Baylor? Was it worth losing 69-10? It's a unfortunate fact of life for these schools like Albany. And Albany hasn't done this before that I'm aware of. They've done it in basketball. They go out and play Syracuse. And I think they went to Duke this year. But these schools need to go for these paydays. They need to go get an ass whooping so that they can get these couple $100,000 paydays to keep the program going. It's just a fact of life, unfortunately. But, you know, is it good for the kids' morale? Doubtful. They don't want to go get their butts kicked. Spencer Rattler had a good debut. Clowney's numbers retired at South Carolina. Rattler and South Carolina do get a win yesterday. Good call. What was the score of that game? And we'll cover a lot more of these games Wednesday night, by the way, guys. We're going to go into a little bit of NFL here in a bit. What was South Carolina? What'd they do? Boop, 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 boop. You're here somewhere. Georgia State. Listen, Georgia State, I think Clay Helton's, I think, coaching at Georgia State this year. Certainly not, a powerhouse, but look at you're South Carolina. You need to build some momentum. Spencer Rattler needs to build some confidence after it was probably really beat down at his time in Oklahoma. Not sure about the character of Shane Rattler, Neil. I've talked about him a lot on the college football show. I remember watching him on QB1. And again, if you guys have never watched this, it might be dated now. QB1 is a documentary kind of series on Netflix. I think there's 3 seasons, and I'm hoping they continue it. It stopped when COVID came. But they follow the career, the senior years of these top-rated high school quarterbacks as they're making their decision where to go to school and whatnot. I believe the last season, Spencer Rattler was one of the highlighted quarterbacks, and this kid did not come off as a really high. Again, he was a high school senior, very immature. He got kicked off the team, and we still don't know why. So we'll see. He's got talent, though. There's no doubt about that. Talk to Carlos about the crypto cash. That's all he wants me to do is invest all my money in crypto so that I can go broke, never retire. Rattler, we're talking the same quarterback who tries to do too much. Again, that Oklahoma offense was not that good last year. And in my mind, were they better under Caleb Williams? Yes. But it's possible Spencer Rattler can get it together. Remember, these are kids we're talking about. Red Raiders beat Murray State 63-10. Tech could be a decent team. They could potentially be a surprise team down there in the Big 12, out there in the Big 12. Agreed. That's definitely what cost them in the playoffs. I'm not sure where that one goes, Rick. 10-2 is fine, especially since the playoff will be 12 teams soon. We're going to talk about that real quick. I'm just going to take, and again, because we're going to dive more into this. I don't think I have, actually, should put that back because I don't think I have another banner here. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the playoff. So the conference leaders voted on, so it's the college football playoff has decided to expand to 12 teams. I think whether that's a done deal still is debatable to me. I've seen this. I've been here before. They did vote unanimously to do it. We don't know if it can happen in 24. Some of the league presidents and such think they can get it done. Some think there's too many logistics to work out before then. Including a TV contract, I'm sure. But right now, basically, the top 6 conferences, top 6 ranked conference champions would get automatic berths. And then there would be 6 at-large bids that would go to the next 6 highly ranked teams. So, obviously, this keeps some life in these conferences outside of the SEC and the Big Ten, no matter what they do. I don't know how long this contract will be for, because, again, all the details are not worked out. But it also gives the Big Ten and the SEC the advantage of 6 at-large bids, and also Notre Dame, BYU won't be independent any longer. Should Notre Dame remain independent for any period of time, they'll have an easier path to the playoff. So, look, I would still prefer to see the 16-team format that I laid out and I got sued for by that guy who lived in his mother's basement. I certainly hope he's watching the show because I'd love to get sued for defamation as well. Sorry if I offend him. But I think this is a step in the right direction to potentially lessen the impact of what's happening with the SEC and the Big Ten. And some teams might think twice about realigning in the next, moving in the next wave of realignment, because if you got an ability to get in by winning your conference, if you're the American Conference or if you're the Mountain West, or I'm trying to think of some other, even Conference USA with Texas San Antonio, if you've got a team that can get up there and get ranked, you might even get in that large bid. So it might stem some of the team movement in the next wave of realignment. We'll see how that plays out, but I'm really happy that we're getting here to this point. We're going to talk more in depth about this on Wednesday night. Not every team can be Appalachia State beating Michigan. Yeah, but you got to remember Rich Rodriguez was coaching Michigan at that point, so you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. 26, it's still debatable, and it's still being debated. There are, again, one of the big things that's still up in the air about this, and who knows, could blow it up, is there are factions within this committee that want it to be 2024. As soon as 2024. And I think part of that it might become more relevant, say, if Oklahoma and Texas move sooner than 2025. I think it becomes much more relevant question of whether it can be 24 or not. I don't understand why the logistics can't get worked out. TV deal is probably the biggest thing. The New Year's Day bowl games would still be part and still be relevant, maybe more relevant because they're going to be part of this playoff. So to me, making it happen sooner than later makes a lot of sense. And by the way I read it too, after these first round games are played, and there's these top, the top, who would play? There'd be 6 games, I guess. No, is that right? Damn it. I think the top 4 teams get a bye, right? After those other games are played, there's reseeding of the teams for the second round, which I think is good too. So that way you're not going to have, possibly, who might be the worst of the 6 how many teams would be left for 8 remaining teams. You wouldn't have, maybe the worst team needs to be playing the best team. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I have no idea what's going on my screen here, and it's driving me nuts. It's giving me an epileptic fit as I'm flashing on and off here. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. Let's look. What do we got here? If you haven't heard from, you may need to drain Kenny's plan. Who? Let's see what else we got going on here. Wanted to talk a little. I don't have time to do that. Let's just go around the NFL a little bit. And see what we got here. Do I have any NFL up here? Just want to go through some of the and maybe we can look at the week 1 matchups quick. Let's see. The Texans are going to host the Uvalde high school team at their season opener, which I think is a cool little story. Obviously, everybody knows about what happened at Uvalde, and I think it's kind of cool that they're going to honor them and bring those kids in to, give them hopefully an experience that will help ease their pain a little bit. Nothing does ease their pain, obviously, but maybe this will help a little bit. After 4 decades with the Chicago Bears, team president and chief executive officer Ted Phillips has announced he will retire from his role at the conclusion of the 2022 season. He's done a good job of driving this franchise into the ground of the last 5 years, I can tell you that. Jalen Thompson Safety for the Arizona Cardinals gets an extension that includes $24 million guaranteed. The extension is worth up to $40 million and includes a signing bonus of $10 million. The Titans will lose their top pass rusher, Harold Landry, to a torn ACL. Not a good sign before you start your season. The New Orleans Saints acquire he doesn't acquire him. He gets arrested and accused of aggravated assault, Marcus May, with a assault firearm. Not a good. I am so tired. And he's formerly with the Jets, by the way, and a guy who I thought had some pretty good potential. But I'm so tired of reading these stories about NFL guys and firearms. What is it with these guys? My God. Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos agreed to a 5-year extension worth $245 million, including $165 million guaranteed. How old is Russell Wilson? 32? 33 years old. How long is this deal? Through 2028. He's 39 years old. It's a lot of money for a quarterback, especially one who's had to play the game the way Russell Wilson has had to play it throughout his career in Seattle. I don't know that he's going to be able to play into his 40s like Drew Brees and Tom Brady, who played a different type of game. Got any comments here? None yet. Not much to talk about in the NFL, right? Kind of boring week. Jimmy Garoppolo, as we know, is staying with the 49ers, surprising myself, surprising Kyle Shanahan, and probably surprising Jimmy G. They told him to stay away from training camp. They told him, we're not giving you a playbook. So they probably were exploring trade options all through training camp. Couldn't come up with anything that made sense. And Jimmy G remains a 49er, at least for the moment. We'll see how long that continues. Other news. Giants released linebacker Blake Martinez, starting middle linebacker, former team captain. They released Ryan Logan before training camp, I think, or early in training camp, who was a team captain. Very clear that the new coach and new general manager are putting a message out there that this is a new start. And some of these old guard are getting pushed aside for sure. What else we got here? I don't care about Adam Schefter's fantasy picks. Nobody cares. Let's look at a couple of game one. Let me see. We got a comment from we got a couple comments here. At least, I haven't done it yet. I was hoping one of you guys would pick up the mantle for me because I have so much on my plate. But I will make a point to post a pick'em link this week on TGI Sports Talk, and I'll post it on my personal page as well. So be on a lookout for that. I'll try to get it done today or tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very rainy day here. I think it'll be time for me to get some of that stuff done. So I will invite you all to the pick'em. Question's going to be, and I'll leave it for you guys since you're here, Rick, Kenny. I know Kenny had trouble getting in. I'm doing it on ESPN because that's the only place. Maybe I'll do it on CBS. I don't know. I got to do it on ESPN because that's where all my stuff is. Do you want to use points or do you want to use straight wins and losses? I'll let you guys, Alan, Kenny, Rick, Billy, guys that were in this before, feel free to. And Neil, if you want to get in, you're more than welcome to get in. Give me your thoughts. If you don't want to use the spreads and you just want to use wins and losses, I'll be happy to set it up that way. We could do confidence points where you rank the team you're most confident in, and you get that many points. I'll do it any way you guys want to do it. So if you give me a couple of votes here, I'll set it up as you guys want it because I want you to be happy. My goal in life is to make you guys happy. I think you understand that. Most of you. Oh, Carlos, you too. I've left you out. Just wins. Okay. There's one for just wins. We'll do that. Sorry, Alan had a thing about the Cowboys here. Jason Peters is like 40 years old, isn't he? His best football's behind him. And if that's by the way, shouldn't they be concentrating on finding some wide receivers, Alan? Boy, this Cowboy team's got some trouble, guys. They really do. I don't know. Maybe it's me. When we do the preview show, by the way, which you guys can watch out for this week, just remember it won't be live. It'll be on Memorex. It's going to be very interesting to how this really goes, because I know we're going to be all over the place with our picks. Great. Yeah, I understand that. Tyron Smith's out indefinitely, but, I got to believe there's guys with more left in the tank than Jason Peters. 40 years old. There's not that many Jackie Slaters out there, guys. Look at, and almost every team in the league has got offensive line problems. Look at the Patriots. I did say on the Mac and Jack show today, by the way, the Patriots, I can find 10 wins on the Patriots schedule. And it's going to be an ugly September. I'd be very shocked if they weren't 2-1-3 coming out of September, possibly. But I still have his team winning 10 games because I think that offensive line would gel, but they can't have injuries because they have no depth, which is a lot of teams' problems. There just is not good offensive linemen out there to be had. And Alan agrees. So apparently Neil is a Cowboy fan, which I think I'm just finding out, and Alan is our other resident Cowboy fan. So good stuff there. I'm trying to find if there's anything else I want to chat about with the NFL before Mark comes in. What else we got here? I was going to look at the matchups for next week. By the way, Henry, the running back for the Titans, he got himself a nice raise as well. Derrick Henry got his pay bumped to $14 million recently to become the highest paid running back in the NFL. So that's kind of interesting as well. Bob Noto might be able to help. Get in touch with Bob Noto. You can find him on Facebook, Alan. If you're going to go for guys, up there in age, Bob would probably fit the profile for the Cowboys lineman. Although I don't think Bob would be interested in playing for the Cowboys. Would probably be your biggest problem. That would be my guess. What else? I was going to look at, I guess, real quick, the man. Let's look at a schedule real quick for next week while we wait for Mark Mancini to pop in here. Big game before we meet again next week is going to be Buffalo at the Rams. Mark Mancini is going to come in here and tell you how bad the Rams are. I'm going to tell you they're not that bad. They're going to be gunned for this year, just like every Super Bowl champion will be. But I think this is a good test for the Bills. I'm telling you right now, my Super Bowl winner from the preview show will be this aforementioned Buffalo Bills. We got New Orleans at Atlanta. Can't get too excited there, although it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I am interested in seeing Diggs play for Atlanta because I like that kid a lot. San Francisco at Chicago in a battle of very young quarterbacks, Trey Lance and Josh Field. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Big game to start off the AFC North. Philadelphia at Detroit. New England at Miami, which will be a very interesting game. I don't give Miami much hope. I picked Miami to finish last in the East because specifically of the person playing quarterback. And, Tua is not accurate enough, and I think he'll struggle. But they might beat the Patriots here in week 1 because it's going to take the Patriots a little time. These 4 games in September are going to be very, very rough, I think, for the Patriots. But then, assuming that offensive line can stay healthy, I think they will gel, and I think we'll see a team that can run the ball, and you'll see Mac Jones flourish in that play-action passing game. Baltimore at the Jets. Interesting first game for the Jets. Maybe a little barometer of where they are. Got to be careful judging teams by these first couple weeks in September, though, right? Nobody plays in the preseason anymore. Jacksonville goes to Washington, the team formerly known as the Redskins, which I will be picking to win the NFC East. Pats always have struggled often have struggled in Miami. You're right, Neil, for sure. Even with Tom Brady. In Florida in general. They struggled in Jacksonville a few times through the years, not recently. Well, yes, recently. Probably as few as 4 or 5 years ago, they lost to Blake Bortles and fairly convincingly in Jacksonville with Tom Brady still there. That was probably 4 years ago now. Anybody else of interest here? Cleveland at Carolina. Interesting matchup as the Browns will face their former quarterback right out of the gate, Baker Mayfield. The Jets at Tennessee. The Giants at Tennessee. Again, I think the Giants will be improved this year. I'm in the minority there. Green Bay at Minnesota. Key game in the NFC North. I think Minnesota will beat the Packers in that division. Kansas City at Arizona, a fun matchup of top-ranked quarterbacks. I think, obviously, Patrick Mahomes has everything over Kyler Murray, so we'll see how that goes. Vegas will visit the Chargers in another key game out west. And Tampa Bay and Dallas on Sunday night in a big game. Dallas is in trouble in this game. I don't know who to root for here, and not root for. I think both these teams are in trouble. I think both these teams could miss the playoffs. I haven't decided yet, and I'll have to decide here in the next hour where I'm going in the NFC with these two teams. And then Denver at Seattle and Russell Wilson coming home for his very first game as a Bronco to play where he played his entire career up until this year. Seattle is going to be god-awful. What do you got, Neil? Giants will be better. Philly's extremely overrated. I agree 100%. And I know we'll get, if you watch our NFL preview, which we're going to record, not do live, so we won't be able to respond to comments, unfortunately. You will hear some great discrepancies between mine and Alan's picks in the NFC East. I have the Redskins and Giants finishing 1-2 because I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are both overrated. I don't have any confidence that Jalen Hurts is going to be the answer in Philadelphia. And the Cowboys have nobody to throw the ball to. They have some offensive line issues. And their coach, somebody here calls him Fred Flintstone. Who is it? Is it you, Rick? I'm not even sure. But it's really kind of funny, actually. So that's where we stand there. What else? That's the matchups. Some fun matchups, I think, in week one as we wait for Mr. Mancini to pop in. And we'll talk about, he wants to talk about the Dodgers historically struggling in September. And I don't think it's really going to matter for this year. Artie Moreno, the Bills and the Rams. I want to talk to him about the Pittsburgh Hall of Fame, which I cannot find my article about now. The Pirates finally installing a Hall of Fame class. I can put Major League Baseball news and notes up there. That was NFL news and notes, by the way, guys. But you would think a team with the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates definitely would have had a Hall of Fame class long before now. So I found that kind of interesting that yesterday was their inaugural class, which we'll talk about with Mr. Mancini as well. And some really big names, inducted into that Hall of Fame here yesterday, which we'll talk about. Well, I'll give you some of those names right now so you guys can talk about it. So Jake Beckley, Honus Wagner, who has one of the most expensive cards out there, Fred Clark, Max Carey, Paul Wainer, Lloyd Wainer, Oscar Charleston, Ray Brown, Archie Vaughn, Buck Leonard. We're getting some guys you'll hear of and played in this century, in the last 2 centuries. Ralph Kiner, Bill McCoskey. Rick, make sure somebody lets Bill McCoskey know I put him in the Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Fame. Bill Mazeroski, Danny Murtaugh, Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, Steve Blass, and Dave Parker. Pretty good class right there. Oh, Gallup is back. Big deal. Who else is he going to throw the ball to? 20 for the jar. I think I've said when I say team formerly known as the Redskins, I don't have to pay. If I do not preface it with that, I have to pay. Jars are getting pretty full, though, by the way. We'll use that at our next happy hour, which we'll try to plan here during football season. Somebody, I think it was Rick, came up with the idea of a Saturday afternoon so we can watch some college football, and I think that might be a good idea. It's a matter of where I want to do it. Do I want to do it at BJ's? I'd like to do it, to be honest with you, at Juniors, which I think has got a better setup for college football, and because BJ's isn't good about putting on a lot of games. Where Juniors is. The problem is with Juniors, you got to come all the way down to Route 4 here in East Greenbush. I don't know if I want to make you guys go that far or whether you even will. Cowboys defense and special teams will keep them in games. Offense will be fine. Eagles will win the East. Yeah, well, don't waste all your energy here. I didn't know Bill had skills. He thought he was a musician. He was at one. He was a catcher in baseball. And I don't. Was he in a? Boy, Bill, if you're watching, we say you're in the band. I hope I'm not embarrassing you. Louis Stellato, we know, was in the band, Rick. And if Louis watching, he was one of the great tuba players of all time, which I think Rick will back me up on. Not sure where our boy Mancini is here this morning, so we'll kind of keep stretching. What else can we talk about today? How about I dive into a couple of let's stick with the NFL. I had a story here I wanted to kind of take a look at. Can I get there? I was looking at players with the most to prove, which I was going to get into, I thought, later. That's not it. Tracking the NFL cuts. Let's take a. Well, I don't really care. Does anybody care? I don't think it was that many big name cuts that we really need to be worried about, to be honest with you. How about a couple? And I'm going to go through ESPN's, and you guys can comment on this. There's an article. Hold on. Lamb, Gallup, and Pollard will be playing the slots. Pollard playing the slots. Schultz, Jake Ferguson is a good rookie tight end. He's a rookie. Remember that. Jerry wants to give these guys a chance, and so well. By the way, that comment right there is everything that's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm telling you right now, Alan. The fact that you say Jerry wants to give these guys a chance, so I will too. The fact that Jerry wants to give these guys a chance, that Jerry's making decisions about who plays, that Jerry's making the decision about who gets drafted, that Jerry gets the decisions about everything. Jerry shouldn't be the GM of this team. That's why this team hasn't won a Super Bowl in 20 plus years. How long's it been? What am I talking about? Almost 30, 27 years, I think. My math is close. This team will not win as long as Jerry Jones is the GM of this team. So the very last comment you make is what's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. Not about you giving them a chance. You don't have any say. But Jerry Jones is the problem. Hire a coach who's got the equipment to say, Jerry, no. I don't want that guy. Jerry, no. That guy's not going to play. Keep bringing in a bunch of yes men, and this team will continue to lose. Don't think so. 27. That's a long time, Alan. How old are you? Can you even remember this game? I think they beat Pittsburgh, right? Keep bringing in guys that just want to say, okay, Jerry, you're the boss. Instead of bringing in a real... Wish I had some odds and ends here, but I don't. Maybe I just put up my stream of consciousness thing here. Oh, we're all over the board now. Now we're into some stream of consciousness. Where else you want to go? How about we go through, just in case, I don't think Mark's coming in. Don't know what happened to him. I hope he's okay. Don't have any messages from him. So anyway, I guess what I'm going to do, unless you get, well, we're going to continue this conversation about the Cowboys, maybe. That's why Parcells retired. You know what? Maybe this will be a great topic to kind of wrap up the show today. Bill Parcells. You're right about Parcells, by the way, Neil, because he didn't like Jerry's interference. But Bill Parcells, you know, he should have just been a coach himself. Yes, you want to, again, look at Bill Parcells. By the way, you ever sit next to Bill Parcells at a bar, you just realize you're going to be sitting next to a pretty surly jerk, because that's what he is. And Bill Parcells was a great coach. Turned around the Giants. Turned around the Patriots. Turned around the Jets. Started to turn around the Cowboys. Tony Romo drops was an extra point or a field goal, and that goal all goes to hell. I wonder if Mark forgot the time, by the way. But Bill Parcells is not a good guy. Regardless of the way I feel about sitting next to him at a bar in Saratoga, where he lives much of the year. He left every one of these teams in disarray when he left. If you remember, he left the Giants. He hemmed and hawed after winning his second Super Bowl. And by the time he just made the decision, Bill Belichick was gone to Cleveland. Tom Coughlin, I think, had left the team maybe to go to Boston College. So they had no options in-house. They didn't want to go outside the organization because it was so late in the offseason. And they were stuck with Ray Handley because of the way Bill Parcells dragged it all out. And by the way, you know, also flirted with Tampa Bay after his first Super Bowl victory, by the way, don't forget. Which I'm sure didn't help the Giants in their quest to repeat. Yep, won 2 Super Bowls. Great guy. Great coach. Goes to New England. Does a very good job of rebuilding that franchise. But one of the reasons you don't want him making player personnel decisions is that he wanted Rick Meyer over Drew Bledsoe. Once he gets Bledsoe, yes, he builds up a team that goes to the Super Bowl and plays against the Packers, a team that they were dreadfully undermanned against. But they had a chance to win the game. But he keeps kicking the ball to Desmond Howard and kept his most valuable special teams guy, Larry Wiggum, on inactive for the game. Then he doesn't even fly home with the team because he made that whole week about himself. About how they're gonna want me to cook the dinner. They ought to let me shop for some of the groceries. And he and Bob Kraft had a falling out. He doesn't even fly home with the team. Made the whole team the week about himself. Leaves that team in disarray. Then he goes to the Jets. Turns the team around. But when he gets wind of the fact that the Bill Belichick is negotiating with Bob Kraft, he names him the head coach, which turned into a whole circus for days in New York. Kicked himself upstairs. Then he brings in Al Groh, and we all know what happened there. So again, for a guy who wanted to have more say in decisions, this guy made very bad decisions unless it was on the football field. Plus, he's a horrible human being. I'm sorry. There you go. Loser. That whole week, as a Patriot fan, all the stories were about is Bill. And he's negotiating, by the way, with the Jets while he should have been preparing for the Packers. Hate that guy, if you can't tell. Hate that guy. No, I'm sure it was the Patriots, and they were. I know you're joking. For a lot of fans, I can tell you they weren't a franchise before 2001. I go back to 1970, my friend. Season tickets through the 80s, freezing my ass off on metal benches in the old Sullivan Stadium, Foxborough Stadium, Schaefer Stadium, whatever it happened to be named that year. Sitting through a 1-in-15 season. The beach is calling for Rick. See you, Rick. Thanks for popping in this morning. Good to have you on your travels. You've become the Billy Pulver for the show this week. We've had quite an array of guests, or I should say audience members today. Rick in Florida, Alicia checking in from London. We are all over the world here. Alan's out in Oklahoma. Well, that's where you normally are, but I can't do anything with this story right now. What else can I talk about today? What else you guys got for me? Talk myself out. Anything else going on in the world? Serena Williams, by the way, out of the U.S. Open on Friday night. She's ousted, and her career theoretically is over. So we'll see what happens with Serena after this. I wonder if Mark Mancini thinks we're still at 10:30. That's all I can think of. Do I see any other big stories? Kenny's probably gone. We can talk about the NBA. I did a vlog this week about the Knicks and losing out on Donovan Mitchell. What do you got here? Can he be? He could be. Could he be designated for assignment? He could, but I don't know that the Yankees have enough depth that they can do it now. Neil? As much as he's disappointed this year, now he's played pretty good defense. Him and DJ have some of the best, again, some of it's analytics, I get, but they have played a very good third base between the two of them this year. Better than Gio last year. His bat's been a disappointment for sure. He's never been one of my favorite players anyway. But I don't know that the Yankees are in a position they can DFA him, I don't think. Not with the injuries to Rizzo, and they got to play DJ at first. You know, I just don't know that can happen. Well, he's had errors in some big spots. I mean, overall, they've played some pretty good defense over there. The defense has been bad the last month anyway. So I'll give you that. And I guess my comments probably precede these last couple of weeks and the disaster that this has started to turn into. I don't think his defense has stunk, though. Not again, if you want to talk about recently, yes. Let me take a quick look at something here. But I don't agree that his defense has been horrendous the entire season. Let me just see if I can give you something to quantify what I'm saying. Now, has he made some errors? Again, if we're talking about the last month, the defense in general has been atrocious. Absolutely atrocious, without a doubt. You won't get any argument from me at all. But let's just take a look real quick. And I'm just looking at straight numbers again because, you know, I'm not getting into a lot of these. Josh Donaldson. 82 games. Total chances, 251. 66 putouts, 175 assists, 10 errors. That's not good in 82 games. I'll give you that. You know, I'm not looking at defensive WAR and RF, whatever the hell that is. Range factor. Range factor. Because range factor is, I don't know if that's good or bad. Who the hell knows? I guess that's good. But still, no, actually, that's not good. But whatever. I mean, look at he's made his errors in bunches. But can they get rid of them again with the injuries that they have? Who the hell's going to play? You got to play somewhere. Agreed. Not getting the runs, and Neil Allen's right. Not getting the runs has certainly been the major stumbling point for the Yankees. They don't hit against good pitching. They don't take pitches enough to get into other teams' bullpens. The defense has taken a downward trend since early in the season. They were playing great defense through, the trade deadline. They were running the bases much better, which has gone downhill as well. Fundamental baseball in general has gone downhill. That's been the problem with the Yankees for the last 5 years, as I've said. Timely hitting, good fundamental baseball, making good plays and smart plays on defense and on the bases. All of that has gone downhill the last 6 weeks. That's led us to where we are. I don't disagree that you can't just take the numbers at face value. Same thing with like RBIs and whatnot. A lot of times it's when you get them. But his offensive numbers are what kills us more than the defense in my mind. Neil, what's he hitting? 218. His OPS 678. His on base percentage is 303. More than defense, his offense has killed us. And I do think overall he and DJ have been better over there than Gio was. But to your question, how do you DFA him? How can you do it? Who's going to play third base? DJ? Who's going to play first base? If Matt Carpenter were still here, maybe. It's a great point. And we got Mark coming in for like 2 minutes. So, because we got to be out of here in less than 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh my God. You know me, I wouldn't disappoint you, but this phone rings and holds me up and I got people calling. I go, hey, I got to go, man. I got to go. And I've been up since 5.
Well, I got time for you to make one quick comment. Tell me what's going on in your life, and then we got to get out of here. So,
well, the Pirates are playing the Blue Jays and trying to put them down for the count. Your Yankees are falling apart. And let's get rid of these bottom feeders playing top 10 teams. I don't need to see USC whack Rice, UCLA to whack Bowling Green.
Don't forget you Albany going to
Colorado State. And what's going on here, man? Give me the Oregons and the Georgias. Give me the Utah and Florida.
I think some of those teams you just mentioned fared better than Oregon yesterday. So
how can you give me these games and call this that you had a great game? What is USC talking about? I like USC, but 66-14. Everybody should get their money back.
Well, you certainly can't take away anything from these games. I can take away something from the Oregon-Georgia game that, Oregon's overrated and Georgia's hasn't. Their expiration date has not been reached yet, so they got a lot in the tank. Let's talk quick because like I said, we got less than a minute here, a minute and a half. Real quick, I know you're going to give me a great prediction on the Bills and Rams since we won't be able to talk about that during the week.
Well, you know where I stand on this, and I said it all across the boards, and I don't back down from a prediction. This is definitely a spoiler, man. The Bills are going to take these guys out. They're going to beat them in double digits. I would be surprised if this game is in the 20 range. The Bills take them out. They're going to send a message to the NFL come Thursday night.
Well, there you go. So there's your prediction. Surprisingly, Mark Mancini picks against the Los Angeles Rams. I know it's a shocker for you guys, but he did. What else is that I want to ask you about quickly? If you can do it in 30 seconds, tell me about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Why are they just getting a Hall of Fame? And were you happy with the class that they inducted yesterday?
Yeah, it was definitely, great with the class they inducted. And, Pittsburgh's got a rich tradition of baseball. I got to remind people because when they bring up the Yankees and you guys, I got to tell them the shot heard around the world, 1960. So, yeah, I like it.
They do have an awesome history, and it's surprising it's taken this long for them to have a Hall of Fame or a Wall of Fame or whatever you want to call it. So, We got to run, guys. Mark, thanks for popping in even for a little bit. I'll chat with you here after I shut off. Alan, click your link at about 11 or so, and we'll get in and do that preview show, and we'll have some fun with that. See you guys next week, and we'll see you Wednesday in the college football huddle, and Mark will probably join us that night as well. Have a great Sunday, guys.